We're back in the Tennessee home office on this rainy day, so I apologize if the rain is a little bit loud in the background if you hear some of that. But today we're talking about what should you look for when you're considering a firm to hang your license with in commercial real estate. So I'm going to talk about this from the angle of a broker and then switch to the angle of a prospective client. What kind of firm should you be looking for? And then we're going to close out with the most impactful deal moment that I had 2 weeks ago, because I haven't gotten a chance to share this with you yet. So starting out, if you're looking for a way to get started in commercial real estate, a big question that's probably on your mind is, what do you look for in a office, in a firm that you're going to be a part of? It's a big decision as a broker, and it's going to really determine to a large degree how far you're going to go in the business. It could truly make or break your career in commercial real estate, this one decision of which office you go with. And so the timeline really is you should be starting to work on this soon. You should work on it early. You should go ahead and start making connections, build some relationships, start following people on socials, and start trying to figure out early in the process which firm you want to interview with, you want to connect with, contact, sit down with coffee, and just get to know. So I've been through this recently, and this is helpful for me to share some of my experience with you. And I was just on a call today with a young guy who's aggressive, ambitious. He's going to go far in commercial real estate, and he had some questions. And like anything, it's something you need to research, something you need to ask around about. And hopefully some of my experiences that I share with you can be beneficial. So that's what we're talking about in this video. Let's jump right into it. What do you look for in a commercial real estate firm? Well, first off, the first piece of advice I would give to you is something a broker told me when I was in this stage early on. And he said, don't look for a company, but look for a team. So for just a moment, forget CBRE, forget JLL, Cushwake, Marcus Millichap, NAI, SVN, KW, Holrob. Forget the name of all these companies for just a minute and focus in on you're going to be joining a team. Okay, so a lot of these companies, whether they're on the bigger side or all the way down to the boutique or kind of a solo firm, a lot of the people are going to be using the same tools, they're going to be looking at the same research, you have access to the same programs for the most part. So that's not going to be a huge deal make or break, but what you want to think about is which team are you going to be working with? So that's the lens that you want to view this question through. You're going to be on a small team, and the dynamics of that team, the expectations, the role that you're going to play is going to be way more important than whether you're working for CBRE or Avison Young at the end of the day. Another thing to consider is who has the market share. You need to do some research to see who and which firms have the bulk of the market share for any given product type. And this kind of starts into the topic of you really need to know what you want when you're getting into this career. Another thing that's been shared with me by countless people is you have to do some introspection. You have to think about what is it that you actually want to achieve. Maybe some of the variables are already decided. Are you sold on a location? Because if that's the case, that might dictate the other decisions, such as the product type that you work with or who has the market share in that area. Maybe you know the product type that you want to go into, and that might have some bearing on the decision of where you move to, if that's a flexible choice for you. If your top priority is to raise a family, that's going to dictate where you're going to live, maybe what product type you work with. If your main priority is making the most money, then that's also going to dictate where you end up and what you specialize in. So you want to think all these things through. Getting to know yourself and what your goals are is a crucial part of this whole process. And when I say who has the market share, I would recommend going to a firm where the market share is not held by one or two brokers, but by many. You'll come across some firms that have one or two people who are crushing it and killing it, and everyone else seems to get left in the dust. I would say that's almost a red flag. You want to go somewhere where everyone is sharing in the success, and it's just a culture of winning for the entire firm And that way, you're going to be welcomed into that culture. That's what I would recommend. And that leads to another thing that you're going to look at when you're considering which firm to work at, and that is mentorship. Obviously, who's going to be training you? What is the training program? How much are they going to invest in teaching you? How much time are they going to give you? What's going to be the training program? And how many deals are you going to be supervised on? What does that whole structure look like? That's something you want to ask questions about. You want to see not just who has the best program, but who's going to give you the most wisdom. And that leads to the next part, which is experience. I would almost say that this may be the most important thing to consider when looking at a firm. Which firm has the most experience? Because I'll tell you, there's some firms with a bunch of young people that's exciting and there's a lot of energy and life. But if the most seasoned person there, other than the principal broker, has only been there for a couple years, that's not somewhere where you probably are going to get the most mentorship and training and experience. I'm fortunate to have landed at a firm that has over 475 years of combined experience in brokerage. And that was a big part of the decision for me, was which firm is going to have the most seasoned, experienced brokers that I can learn from. Potential red flags would be a firm with very inexperienced teams, only a few high performers, and a lot of turnover. You want to go somewhere where there's not much turnover, where there's a lot of loyalty and just a great ecosystem, a great environment to work in. Then, of course, there's things like personal fit, personality. Find a firm that matches your goals. Again, do some introspection to think this through. Do you want to work at a firm where they expect you to be the Wolf of Wall Street? Do you really? I mean, you might think that you do, but seriously think about it. Who do you want to be in the business? Do you want to be more relational? There are some firms that are a lot better in that regard, being relational. Do you want to be independent, or do you want to be micromanaged? Do you want a ton of structure, or do you want to have a little more flexibility? All of these are things that you want to think through. And then when you recognize a good opportunity, take it. Jump into that firm. Try to make as much money as you can. Try to make those around you as much money as you possibly can help them make. And if you don't know where to start, just start calling people. Feel free to reach out to me, leave a comment, call some brokers, and start getting to know the firms in your area. So now we're going to switch to as a client. What should you be looking for in a firm to work with, to represent your property, or to find you a property, perhaps to find you a place to lease? So number one, I would consider national reach. Who has systems in place, connections that are going to allow you to work wherever it is that you're going to have a need. So national reach is important. Number two, the ability to handle your needs. So this comes down to, again, the team, the small groups that specialize and partner with each other. Maybe it's a threesome, maybe it's 4 or 5 people. And those teams are so valuable, because if you get an account with a team, you may be getting 3 times the manpower at the same commission rate. So you're going to pay the same price, but you're going to get 3 times the energy and the attention to your project. So consider a very strong team that has a good presence in the market and that has a high transaction volume and a good rate of success. Also look at experience. Look at who has the relational reach, who has the largest client list, who gets the most incoming calls. Because if you list a property with that broker, they're going to be having all kinds of people reaching out that might be a potential fit for your property. And also look for a broker who's doing what other people aren't. So that might be media, that might be getting creative with renderings, or it could be any kind of creative marketing. Look for the broker who's going above and beyond, and you're going to get more for your money's worth. So now we're going to close out with the most impactful moments 2 weeks ago that happened. So to kind of set the scene, there's a very attractive property that we were listing, the small team that I'm on, and it had gotten a lot of attention. There was a lot of potential users. It's in a really good spot. Well, the landlord had gone back and forth between a couple of users. Some of the deals fell apart, which is typical in the cycle of the deal. And because of the circumstances, they finally began to narrow in on who they thought would be the best tenant. But there was a little bit of phone tag going back and forth because there was 4 parties involved. So there's the potential user, there's the other broker, there's the landlord, there's other decision makers. And so this phone tag between these like 4 parties, we were caught in the middle of, and the stakes were high, the pressure was on, time was of the essence. So what my mentor did, and I won't forget this moment, very impactful. He called up the tenant, and you could hear in the prospective tenant's voice just the willingness to cooperate, the urgency, the desire to get into the space. And so in the moment, my mentor also called up the landlord, and he introduced the landlord to the potential tenant. He got them both on the phone. He facilitated this moment where both of them could talk directly. They could hear the tone, they could hear some of the concerns, some of the risk that each of them was considering, and it just led to this collaboration. We're still in the details of this deal, so it's not over yet, but that moment kept the deal alive. Both parties were grateful. It built trust, it built rapport, and we're still working on that deal to this day. So that was a big moment for me and the experience that I'm gaining at the firm that I'm at. And so hopefully this video has been a help for you. Stay tuned. There's more to come, so we'll see you in the next video.